Today we're going to do an overview of a fun little system. You can crack the eggs, you can throw away the shells, and then you can even grab a fork and mix the eggs. So this is like a cool little system if you want a French toast simulator. It's also masked, so notice even if the eggs are close to the edge, they don't spill off the plate. And same with that. And you can grab basically everything and you can mix things up. It's kind of satisfying. And we aren't going to recreate this necessarily from scratch, but I'm going to go over all the basics and also share the assets on the Discord. There's not a ton of them, just like eggs and stuff. So there's, let's see, that's just the model. There's kind of three main parts to this. Everything is in this scene. I don't have it set out. I have basically everything in just the player pawn, and then the player pawn spawns in. So I have these as just meshes. These are just egg meshes. I have the plate. The difference here is the plate itself. I think I have this special collision. If you look, everything is tagged. So this is the plate. This is also the plate. These are eggs. This doesn't have everything that's interactable. That's a fork. And then I have them set to simulate physics and custom physics body collision. And then a little light here. Nothing in the construction script on this one, but in this, we are creating the UI. What do we have in the UI? Let me actually check this real quick. I forgot to check this. I don't think anything. I think I was doing some things with the UI earlier, but I don't think it actually gets used. Yeah, if you wanted to like count how many eggs you had and stuff like that, you could do that here. And we add that. Then we also set the game state. So we want to make sure the cursor is turned on, and then we want to make sure the widget mode is turned on. So you can actually use the UI. And then this is the main one that matters, is setting the plate location and size. And this sets it in this material. This material uses a sphere mask, and then it uses what's called what are these called again? A material parameter collection to set its location and radius. And it feeds into the sphere mask, and then this is just a masked material. And you can set if it's masked or not. I have an instance on the eggs when they spawn in, where this instance here sets them as masked, and then it uses, you can't actually use a Boolean dynamically, so you can just use a scalar and just set it to 1 or 0, and you can lerp between if it's on the plate or not. And that is what determines if you like crack it here. You notice it technically, if I eject, it's like technically this should bleed through right here. Like if I wonder if I can see it if I go to wireframe, or if it will mask out. Yeah, see, there's the wireframe. It's like technically it should show up right there, but the material is masking it out. You can kind of see it right there. And that's because it is being set right here in the material parameter collection and the radius as well. So those are the main things that happen on play for picking up and dropping a mesh. It kind of first to ask like, hey, are you holding a mesh? And if you are, then use the item. If not, if you're not holding something, pick up whatever you have. In order to pick up a mesh, we just grab the controller, and there's this cool node called get hit under cursor by channel. So it basically, wherever your cursor is, it will shoot a raycast from there, which is very handy, from the camera, and get hit under, so go straight down. And then we get the results, and then we check to see, is it simulating physics? And did it hit it at all? And did the thing that we hit simulate physics? If both those things are true, then we want to cast to static mesh component, and then we want to set that as our held mesh. So we click it, and it's like, okay, you're holding an egg right now. Okay, you're holding a fork. Technically, you can drop the eggs by right-clicking, or you can crack them by left-clicking. And then when you're holding it, we want to turn off physics, and we want to turn off the collision. Otherwise, that can get pretty weird. Okay, so then, now you're holding a mesh. And then if you right click, you want to check to see, hey, are you holding a mesh? And if you are, go ahead and re-enable the collision, set it to simulate again, and then set the held mesh to null. And then these are the actual actions. So use item, if you remember, is called right here. So if you left click, you either pick up an item if you are not holding anything, or if you're holding something, try to use the item. And then there's 3 items, so we check all 3, see what we're using. And we just do a quick validation check to make sure you're holding a mesh. And then we see what tag it. Okay, if it's an egg, go ahead and destroy the mesh you're holding if you use it, because we're going to spawn in a new one. So then we raycast under the cursor, and we are going to place an egg at the location just under the egg you cracked. And then we rotate it randomly, and then we check to see if it's going to be on the plate or not. And that gets set in the egg right here. Is it on the plate? Yes or no? And then in the event graph, this is an event that you can call on the cracked egg to scramble it. Like that. And then we get the player controller, and then we convert the mouse location to world location, and then we spawn in the cracked shell, because this we actually want like the depth, since the egg kind of is hovering technically. So here I can actually show this, but I have to go to this scene. So let's grab an egg, and then I'm going to eject here. And if you look, the egg is being held up a certain height. So that is determined by this height here, since we multiply the world direction. So I think we just have 820. If this was taller or higher, I think it would be further off the ground. And then we spawn in the cracked shells, and these cracked shells, I don't think they have much functionality. They're just 2 shells, but they are tagged, I think, or maybe not. Maybe they're just static. Let's see. Cracked shell, yeah. No, they're tagged. Okay, there it is. Cracked shell. If it's a cracked C, are you holding something? Is the thing a cracked shell? If not, if the thing is a cracked shell, then just drop it. So the things that don't have items or uses, you can left click as well to drop, which just makes it a bit easier to kind of like clean up. And then finally, for the fork, if what you're holding is valid and it has the fork tag, go ahead and raycast under the camera. And if the thing implements the interaction and it's a cracked egg, then go ahead and try to mix the egg, which is this function right here, which just swaps out the static mesh to the cracked egg static mesh. And then it gives it a new tag as mixed egg. So that's basically it. The kind of cool part is in the material here, the masking, and then some pretty simple functionality to clean it up. I'm just going to do a clean run, cracking all the eggs on the plate, since I think it's kind of satisfying. And again, the assets are going to be on the Discord. If you have any more questions on how this works, or you want to recreate something similar, feel free to either leave a comment or jump on the Discord. There's a whole channel for questions. We have some people making stuff. Initially, if you want something, a tutorial for something similar, the idea behind this was making a French toast simulator, which I think would be cool. Maybe pour some milk in. There you go, scramble all those. All right, bon appetit. Catch you later.